Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name's Eleanor Nikifater and this is day one of my April reading vlog. I just want to quickly go over a couple of the books that I'm planning on reading this month, and then it'll just be on with the rest of the month and the vlog. So the first book I'm going to be picking up this month, at the very beginning of the month, is Rise by Myra Grant, which is a short story collection with a couple of novellas in it, which is part of the News Flesh series by Myra Grant, which I was buddy reading with Faye and Kayla. I'll leave their channels linked below, and Faye and I are ready to read Rise, so we've divided it into 4 days and we're going to be reading this. So this will be my first read of April, and I've already read half of my section for today. And I think I'm going to be a bit gutted when we're finally finished reading all the News Flesh books, because I really love this world and I love the buddy read so much. So I'm excited to discuss with the girls these short stories, and then we can get on with doing our live show we've got planned for this series so we can discuss it. The next book I'm going to be reading is on my Kindle, and it's Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, and it is the next book in my kind of year-long Terry Pratchett reading plan. And I don't really know much about Small Gods. The only thing I know is that it's one of the standalone books, I believe, so I'm excited to get to that. I probably won't be starting that this week though. And then the third book I've got planned for April, before I start reading randomly again, as is my wont, is Marked by PC and Kirsten Krass. This is the first book in the House of Night series, which was first started to be published in like 2007. So this is an oldie series, and this is a series I grew up reading as a teenager, and I much love this series actually. I'll show them here. Here they are here. I own all of them bar the last book, which is where I kind of stopped reading. And I'm taking part in the Redbird Read Along, which is being hosted by a few people. I'll leave their links below, one of them being Faye. They're hosting this read along, and every month we're going to read one of the books and they'll host a live show, so I'm excited to watch them in their live show and participate by rereading the series that I loved so much. And I think the idea is that we'll read a book a month until we want to stop, and whether we stop after 3 books or 8 or we finish the whole series will just be dependent on how many people are still interested in continuing on with the series. So that's the start of the vlog. I thought I would get some Calcifer content in at the beginning of the month as well, because we all know this is why you're really here to see him. And hello, we're in the kitchen. This is unusual. I don't usually post anything else that I'm really doing, but I thought you'd show you a wee bit for this first part of the vlog. I'm going to be making some Rocky Road, and I'll show you it when it's done. So here's my ingredients for everything. So yeah, just going to make that, and I'll maybe show you when I'm done, if I remember to. Here's the finished Rocky Road. I need to let it set and put some ice and sugar on it, but it looks great and very unhealthy. But I'm looking forward to eating it. So I have failed quite drastically at filming this April reading vlog. As you can see, it's the 7th. It's been a whole week practically since the start of this vlog, and I haven't updated you since the beginning. Feel on me. The Femathon has definitely taken its toll on me. I'm in a little bit of reading slump. I'm just exhausted. Not even just because of the Femathon, just life and work and everything in between in general. But my reading has kind of suffered a little bit. I've been reading Rise by Myra Grant, which is a short story collection I've been buddy reading with Faye, but for the last 2 days I haven't read my sections and I need to kind of catch up and get reading. I've just really been struggling with reading this. And I don't know why, because I am loving it. I think because it's called definitive stories, because they're short stories. I got to the end of one and I just haven't picked it back up yet. I have started Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, which is my Terry Pratchett book I'm reading this month, and I'm a wee bit into it and I'm really intrigued. It seems quite ridiculous. They all are, to be honest, but this one's more focused on religion. So it's like satiric about religion in general, and yeah, it's quite funny, and I'm not really sure where it's going. It's quite strange. But what I've noticed is that I've read Teddy Pratchett's books out of order. I read them quite randomly. I read the Death Arc and a few random ones in between, and now I'm going back and filling in the gaps. But there's a character who's a main character in The Thief of Time that I'm now encountering in Small Gods. And I think The Thief of Time comes after Small Gods. Yeah, it comes way after. So it's quite fun to see this character. Lutzi is how I've always pronounced it. I have no idea if that's correct or not. It's fun seeing them before they're like such a pivotal character in this book. Because I feel like so far they've just got a small role, and the main characters are kind of moving elsewhere. So this character that crosses into The Thief of Time isn't coming with them. But it was quite fun, wee thing to notice and realise that I'd seen that character before, just dropped my book. And obviously that's going to be happening quite a lot, and that's probably the beauty of reading Discworld books in order, is that you get those snippets and re-mentions of characters that you've already met and are familiar with. So that was quite fun. So I'm enjoying that, and that was just a bit of a change of pace for reading Rise. But I'm going to get Rise done by the weekend. Probably, I won't read any tonight, probably because I'm just about to go to bed. But Thursday and Friday I'm going to finish Rise, so that at the weekend I can pick up Marked for the Redbird read-along, because I'm actually really, really enthused to read that series. So I want to get Marked out of the way because it'll be a very quick read, because I've read it millions of times, and yeah, I'm always a big believer in just reading what you want to read, especially when you're feeling a bit slumpy. So that's the update for now. But I thought I'd give you a little time with Calcifer. He's lording it up in his cat tree, and he's biting my fingers. He's having a wee bath. But yep, there he's there, falling and spilling out of his cat tree. So I'll endeavour to read more and update you much more often than this 7-day gap. I'll see you in the next clip. So as you can tell, I'm still failing at vlogging this month, but maybe we'll get there. I finished Rise by Myra Grant. I absolutely love this collection of short stories. There was 2 like novella length stories in here, and the rest were all kind of more short stories, and I loved it. This was a great companion book to the News Flesh series, and was really what I was looking for when I initially read Feedback. Feedback was kind of not the best for me in terms of how much I loved the original trilogy. So I loved the short story collection. I thought it was a great companion and kind of sequel and just addition to the world if you loved the initial trilogy. You obviously don't have to read it, but I greatly enjoyed it. There was only one short story in here that I just felt didn't work, and it was there just because the author thought it should be there. It was a story that they thought it should be told, but for me it just didn't fit. It didn't work. You meet a lot of the side characters that you've heard stories about in the original series. You get some background information. You're back with some old characters that you know and love, and it's like the next step, or it's a flashback kind of scenario. So it's just very much more world building, and loved it so much. Really greatly enjoyed it. So I'm really looking forward to Faye and Kayla and I's live stream for the News Flesh series that we're going to host. By the time you've seen this video, we've probably done it, so I'll leave it linked below so that you can watch it if you're interested in reading this series, or if you want to discuss it with us because you've already read it. I would highly, highly, highly recommend this series. Now, if you watched March's wrap-up, our reading vlog, you know that I had A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin on my TBR. This was going to be my classic read for the Femathon, and I didn't quite get to it. Things happened. I did start it, but I never finished it because it's classic fantasy. It's a very, very short book, but it's a very slow read, just because the writing style is like classic. So because I find it much more difficult to read in general, I put it down, intending to come back to it when I had the time, and I wasn't going to be rushing through it, and this is what's happened, and that's why I started it again now. I read the next little section today at work during my lunch break, and really enjoyed it. The first part of this book, I was unsure if I was going to like it because very much in a classic fantasy sense, it's world building, and the character goes to a magic school and they're learning their craft, and it's just very slow paced and very passage of time and just kind of laying the foundation, and I just kind of wanted to egg it on and more action to happen. But in this first little bit that I've read, he's done the kind of bad thing that's mentioned on the back. He's let loose the evil shadow beast, so that happened and he had consequences for that, and he's growing and learning and changing as a person, and I'm really interested by his character arc. I think Sparrowhawk is a really interesting character, and yeah, I'm really intrigued by this kind of fantasy world, and I think I very much will at this point in reading the book try and continue on with this series because they're very, very short, and Ursula Le Guin is much beloved as a classic female writer, so would love to read more of her work. But as I said before, I believe in my last clips, once I finish A Wizard of Earthsea, I'm going to start Marked by PC and Kirsten Cass, the first book in the House of Night series, part of the Redbird Read Along that some people are hosting, and I'm really excited to get this, and I know I'll read this super quick, so I think that'll give me a really good boost to finish 3 books in quite close succession. I'm also very close to finishing Small Gods by Terry Pratchett. I'll get that finished in the next day or 2 as well, depending on which book I focus on finishing first. I'm very near the end, and it's been a really interesting book. It's obviously satire completely to like organised religion and things like that, but not in a way that I would find particularly offensive. I'm a Christian, if you didn't know, but I don't really get easily offended with things like that. I know people are just poking and fun, and it's not usually meant in a really hurtful and harmful way, and I can take the joke and I can enjoy that kind of humour as well. But they do have a lot of really good Terry Pratchett does have a really good points about how sometimes religion does the things that's happening in this book, and even above and beyond that, it's just a really funny, interesting plot, and the characters go on really interesting adventures, and I love the main character. I think he's such an interesting perspective and has such, yeah, it's just really good fun and just ridiculous and usual Terry Pratchett fashion. And I believe, as I've said before, I'm loving the inclusion of Lucy, who I am more familiar with through The Faith of Time. I love that little connection that I've managed to find for myself because I read them out of order, and it just goes to show how amazing a writer Terry Pratchett is, that he's interwoven all these characters in. And I don't know if between Small Gods and The Faith of Time Lucy appears again, but there's like 10 books in between them, and it's just amazing how clever Terry Pratchett was to weave all these intricate stories and have them all interlink. And yeah, I could probably do a whole video in the future about Terry Pratchett and my love for him, and I might just do that if you're interested. And I'm not going to promise to update soon because I've done that the last 2 times and I haven't done that, so maybe by not saying that, it'll happen. So I'll see you in the next clip, whenever that is. I finished Small Gods by Terry Pratchett, and I don't have much more to say that I didn't already mention in the last one, just because I kind of covered all my thoughts. But I really enjoyed the book, and I can understand why it is a beloved in the Discworld series. Terry Pratchett just has a really great balance with his comedic timing, him discussing kind of real world kind of situations, but not in any sense of making fun or true mockery that people would actually be offended. And I just think he does it really beautifully, and his characters are always so interesting. I also finished A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula Le Guin, and I really enjoyed this. It was really good. I did say before that it had a bit of a slow start, and it did, but I don't know if that was more so just me getting used to the writing style, because it is a classic, so it might have just taken me a wee bit longer to kind of get into the swing of things. I really enjoyed the main character, Sparrowhawk, and the kind of arc that his story has, and all the growing and learning and changing he does. Makes a really great story, and I also love the different relationships he has in the story between his mentors and his closest friend. I think it's been done really well, and I did really appreciate the world that Ursula Le Guin has created in the Earthsea, and I just think it's really clever and intricate, and with so much detail that I got to the end of the book and I couldn't even believe it was only 200 pages long, because I feel like I've had so much history and so much geography knowledge of this world, and I just think it was really well done. A very mighty packed book for such a tiny thing, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. And today I started Marked by PC and Kristen Cast. This is the first in the House of Night series, and I'm reading this as part of the Redbird read along that is being hosted, and I'm enjoying this. I read this in 2019, I believe. No, I read this last year as part of my rereading my teen vampire obsession series that I was doing. I need to get back to finishing that. I think I've only got a couple more books and I'm finished that series. It was just a lot because I was reading the books in one sitting, so I kind of burned out, and with the pandemic I don't really have that kind of time that I did when I first started it. Anyway, so I have read this quite recently, this first book, but I'm excited to kind of read this one again. It might be a bit too soon for me to reread this one, but I'm excited to continue on with the rest of the series each month and enjoy the girls' live show and discussion and join in with that. I think it'll be just a really fun way to enjoy the series that I loved as a teenager. I mean, I absolutely loved it. Like, wait, let me crouch down here. This is my vampire shelf, or some of my vampire books anyway, and as you can see, this is all the House of Night books. I think I only ever didn't get the last book in the series, and well, we're reading one book a month. If we actually get to that point and people don't drop off and they don't just stop the read along because people aren't interested anymore, I'll see when that happens. If it happens at like book 10, I might just finish the series anyway and get the last book, but if it happens after book 4 or 5, I don't know if I will kind of continue on my reread myself. It depends how I feel and what I'm getting out of rereading them. But yes, I don't have much to say about the series so far. I don't have much to say about the book so far because I really only just did start it today. So I'll catch you in the next clip. So I haven't got much read this weekend. I was busy Friday evening and Saturday, and then today on Sunday I felt just a bit under the weather. I think I've got the beginnings of a cold, so I've not actually read as much today as I was hoping. I've read a chunk of Marked. I was hoping to finish that this weekend because I was going to fly through this, but I'm hoping to get a good chunk of this read tonight before bed. I usually will fly through a book like this if it's a reread, especially because when I was younger I reread these a dozen times, can't even tell you. My thought so far is, I know it's problematic, I just love being back with these characters, and especially back with them in the beginning, because it's a really long series and I know how a lot of these characters kind of progress and evolve and change and grow. So I enjoy being with them back in this beginning stage, and again seeing where they start, because some of them are so young or have not had much like life experience yet. So I think it's really great fun, and I just love the whole dynamic of the vampires at the vampire finishing school. I just love that concept, and it's a concept I've just really loved, and I just really enjoy reading vampire stories. I need to go and find some more and read some more classic vampires and all that jazz, but I am kind of enjoying this. But because it is a read along, there are people who haven't read the series before reading it for the first time. I am not sure now in this day and age how appropriate this book is. So this is very dated and probably has a lot of problematic things even in this first book. So as a new reader, I'm not sure how well they'll take to it, but as a rereader and someone who can get past all the bad things in it and appreciate it for what it was of its time and what it helped open up for me in other aspects of my reading, I do really appreciate this, and I'll probably have more to say when I actually finish the book. But I also just wanted to mention the lovely Abby. I posted her 2 books, the second and third book in the Darkest Shade of Magic series by V.E. Schwab, because I was getting rid of them, and she's bought me Queendom of the Seven Lakes and King of the Seven Lakes by A.B. Endicott, and it's her favourite YA fantasy duology, and she sent me a copy and I wasn't expecting it, and I'm so thankful for her, so I just wanted to mention that in the vlog as well. So these will be on my tea bar, and you'll probably see these coming up in a future vlog as I read them. They might make their own vlog by themselves And yeah, I'm excited. Let me know if you've read this duology as well, and you could get excited for them to read it too, because I know they're Abby's favourite. So that's the update for now. Check in with you soon. So I finished Marked by PC and Kristen Cast, and it is problematic. There's a few choice words used in here that, not that they were ever acceptable, but they were more commonly used in like the middle 2000s, and it's very, very dated now, and it isn't appropriate. But because this is a reread for me of a series I much loved, I am able to look past that and see the story for as it is. And I do enjoy this series and do enjoy the book, but I can see how problematic it is now. I enjoy being back with these characters, and as I said before, I think it's fun seeing these characters in this beginning phase because I know how different they all are later on in the series, so it's fun seeing them in this very, very beginning stage when they've just started at the House of Night. And yeah, I'm interested to see what everyone says about this book in the live show and how many of them have read the books before, or if it's new to them and what they say. The discussion, I'm looking forward to that. I then started Lords and Ladies by Terry Pratchett. That's the next book I'm reading in the Discworld series. It's technically the book I'm going to be reading in May, but I started it early. It's just going to be a slow read for me, just pick up bits and pieces, so I will finish it in May. Probably not going to read it much now for the next week. But yeah, it's just another Discworld book. And it's continuing on from one of the others I'd just previously read, Back with the Witches. And yeah, it seems really fun and really interesting. Not too far into it just yet. And after finishing Marked, I started Murder Games by James Patterson. This definitely isn't a book I would normally ever pick up, because this is crime fiction, and you're following a detective basically and a professor at Yale University in America as they solve a crime, basically. It's not something I would ever pick up. I've never read a James Patterson book before, but this book, I believe there's 2 books in this kind of series, was adapted into a TV series called Instinct, and I watched the 2 seasons, and then I think it was cancelled after 2 seasons, and I really, really enjoyed it. The main protagonist in the book was acted by Alan Cummings, who is a brilliant actor, and I just really enjoyed that show because I love watching crime series and stuff like that. Like Criminal Minds is one of my favourite shows ever, so I thought I would pick up the book and see if, having loved the TV show, that was a good gateway into me to trying to read some James Patterson and some crime fiction. And I'm flying through it. I've got 100 pages left. Really enjoying it. I think it definitely has helped that I've watched the TV show and I kind of know what's going on, and it is holding my interest, and I find the characters really engaging. So I'm a little bit gutted there's only 2 books in this world. If this was a bit of a longer series, I maybe would have been able to keep at it. But I think I can enjoy crime fiction books. I just have to be very selective about them. And yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and I'll be finished very quickly. It's the end of the month, and I think you can tell by this vlog that I've been a bit all over the place with consistency in vlogging. I've kind of tailed off at the end of this month in terms of reading. I haven't really read much in the last week, apart from last night, which I'll get to. But I did finish Murder Games in that last clip. I finished it then and there after I finished that clip. I just sat down and read the last little bit while I was waiting to then go do something afterwards. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. My spoiler-free review will be up before this vlog. And I wouldn't say you would pick this book up for the really complicated crime and the puzzle and that aspect, but I enjoyed the characters. It was super fast-paced and I was really pulled through it, and I think that is why I enjoyed it rather than the complicated crime-solving aspect of the story, if that makes sense. I haven't read a lot of crime fiction, as I said, and definitely not from the kind of policing perspective, so it kind of jumped forward, and it really did feel like a TV show when I was reading it, which made sense because it was then adapted. But it just felt like it time skipped quite a bit, and it was fine for a very quick read, 2 seconds in 2 sittings, and I'm not really going to remember much about it, and that's fine. It's just a bit of fun. Hi. You want to be in the vlog? Look. No. There you are. Hi. You telling everyone how noisy you are? Super noisy? You the star of the show? Oh, look at you. Can I finish my video now? He's very noisy and insistent. So yeah, so I wouldn't take that too seriously, and I definitely maybe wouldn't take that as like your first James Patterson to read. But it worked for me and I was fine. I don't know how many others of his I'll pick up. Just need to see. I then, as I said, didn't read anything for a week, so I finished that on the Saturday, and then yesterday, Thursday, I hadn't read anything that whole week. And then I picked up The Stone of Destiny by Carolyn Logan, who is a Scottish writer, and it's based on Scottish folklore and it's to do with selkies, and I'm really excited by this. I picked it up thinking, oh, I'll just get it started and it'll lead into May's reading and that'll be fine, and I sat and read 100 pages in one go and I'm really enjoying it. It's fast paced, the characters are interesting, I love the inclusion of selkie folklore from Scottish folklore. I haven't read any books with selkies in it, but I'm just loving the fact that it's a Scottish author that's talking about it. I just feel like it'll be done much more authentically, and I'm sorry if you can hear all the garden work outside in the local park. Hope you can still hear me. So yeah, I'm really enthused by this. I love the cover of this book. It's really lovely and I'd highly recommend it so far. 100 pages in, and I'll have a review up as soon as I'm finished, and you'll probably see this in the next month's reading vlog because I'm still reading it and enjoying it. So this is kind of giving me a bit of pep back in my step with reading. This last week I've just had a lot going on with other things and I was kind of a bit burnt out, but reading like a young adult folklore inspired kind of fantasy is just, you know, what I needed right now, so I'm enjoying it. So yeah, not a hugely successful reading month, but I went so gung-ho in March. I think this was only to be expected that I would kind of have a bit of an issue with motivation in April. But yeah, I still had fun. If you've made it this far in the video, why don't you leave me a stack of books in the comments. I always like knowing who manages to make it to the end of these long videos. There wasn't as many clips in this one, but they were all super long. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll see you in the next video.